What's going on, guys? Welcome to Bow Boys. I'm about to surprise them with metal because I'm going to be teaching Gavin how to weld today. You boys ready to weld?
Yeah. I practiced sort of trying to weld without you, and it was really bad. The good news is that I definitely need help, and there really isn't any bad news, so.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the bad news and you burnt up the tip on the welder.
No.
Either way, guys, welcome to Bow Boys. Now we can be loud.
I welded like everything onto this bar.
What? Okay.
That one was solid, kinda.
That is.
I did this one. That was like at the very end though, whenever I was getting a little bit better.
That's not bad. But didn't you weld this? Oh shit! That ain't going nowhere, son. Damn, I could give me a piece of pliers and pull that thing off.
Hey, chill out.
Yeah, I can.
I tried.
First step of learning how to weld. Turn the gas on when you weld, turn it off when you're done welding. From there, it gets easy. I'm just kidding. Anyone can do it, it just takes practice.
There was little fireballs chasing at him.
It was like boom, and there was fireballs going everywhere. I was playing around with it, and that was like...
Wire speed low, volts just about right. Yeah, I mean, for this metal, we might have to turn it up, but I'm gonna weld on it, and then I'll go from there, because I usually don't have it in my head. I just get down on it, and then figure out from there. What we have here is the welder, Eastwood welder. Gavin is sponsored by Eastwood, because Eastwood is great, and Gavin is great. So, we got Eastwood welder. This is metal from Tractor Supply. We're not sponsored, but Tractor Supply, we will definitely, like, do that.
Sponsored by Tractor Supply.
That'd be a cool place to be sponsored by. Tractor flaps for days, boys. All right, so what we have here is just, it looks like 1/8, but
feels like 8.
Yeah, it's 1/8 inch. Okay, so 1/8 inch bands. They're solid steel pieces, and we're gonna make a T-joint with it. So I'm gonna pull this ground off.
I was about to say, you're probably gonna have to explain what a T-joint is.
Yeah, so this is a T-joint. All it's gonna be is just in the middle here, and we're gonna weld that side and that side to practice getting welds down. We're gonna tack it to it. Tack welding is just basically putting it together, doing a little teeny little tack. And with MIG, this is a MIG gun. What you gotta do is just tack it in, and then tag it here, and then probably a few spots down the center to make sure it stays straight, and then you could weld your solid beads on it. So you always tack it first to make sure it's properly fitted, then weld your beads on it. Is it straight up on there? All right, so to tack this, tack one side. All you're doing is taking the metal and bringing it from the top side to the bottom side, or usually the thicker side to the thinner side. So now I can put the ground there. Also, don't be like me. Don't weld without gloves. Don't weld without PPE. You gotta weld with all the proper equipment, but we're just making by with what we got. All right, so easy as that. Tacked in. Gavin, wanna get a few tacks in?
Sure.
Do it on the other side, exactly where I did these guys. And then just simple as that, just bring the heat from one side to the other. Yeah. I've got a small head. You're gonna have to redo it. So simple as that, just bring the heat from the top side to the bottom side. Make sure they're both connected and you're good to go. Also, never look at this because you'll get flash burn. Looking through the camera lens, not through me. All right, good. One thing I would recommend is starting inside of the crease, like just barely at the top so they're not as long.
Okay.
But I mean, it's fine. It's not a problem at all. I'm just saying it helps when you're fabricating. So now I got that on there. My finger is burnt because a piece of metal came inside of there because I'm not wearing gloves because I'm stupid.
Be like Gavin.
Be like Gavin. Gavin is safe, man. I'm Poe. So, all right, Gavin, run me a bead. Start right past this. Do a bead probably about 2 inches. That's not bad at all, honestly. That's really good.
Thanks, Poe.
It'll take a little bit of time just practicing how slow you go. You might want to go a little bit slower there, but that's the right pattern. Perfect how you want to push that puddle. So just go a little bit slower and make sure it's tight. And if you want, honestly, I found to weld better on a seat. I know this sounds really dumb. Or we could do something even better, which I didn't think about till just now. Brace yourself on this. So come up and brace yourself like that. Freaking great. That is actually really good. If you welded like that on structural, you'd pass. It could do a little bit more gas, but that is literally freaking great. Now just run a solid bead without doing any half moons or anything. And you gotta go slow. It's actually a lot slower than you'd think. Dog, that is freaking great. Both of those are freaking great.
It's kind of an unfair advantage though, because like I said, I've had a lot of, well, not a lot of experience, but I've had decent experience.
Yeah, but I'm saying that's freaking good. Just doing what you're doing makes it a lot easier to teach because you have it in you. It's just when you start welding on structural stuff, it gets a lot different. So that's what I got this for, is because I didn't know if you had that yet, and that's pretty damn good.
My hardest thing is welding on thin metal. Like whenever we were doing the exhaust the other day, boy, I burned through that thing so fast.
We can work on that. We have extra exhaust pipe, so we'll definitely be able to do that. Harris, do you want to try?
I'm probably gonna suck.
Don't matter.
You can only get better by sucking first.
You press it, you make contact, and then you press this shit.
You don't have.
Oh, you don't have to make contact. Whenever you press that, it's gonna start going. It's gonna start releasing gas. So as soon as you release this or press that, it's gonna start releasing gas, and then as soon as the metal touches, it's gonna start sparking.
Okay, so but I can touch it right now.
Yeah, you can.
Yeah. Right now, if you touch it now, nothing's gonna happen. Also, another trick that people do is say this is too long. Most people will get like a pair of dikes or wire cutters or something like that and cut it. You could just put it on metal, do it real fast. Now it's off, and now it's also really short in there. You also want to keep the inside of your electrode really clean. Use some pliers or needle nose pliers, something like that, to get all that stuff out of there, and you'd be good. And that stuff just comes right off. You can pull that off with your hand.
Yeah,
and this is MIG wire, otherwise known as solid wire. This stuff right here is no flux inside of this. It has gas, where flux core has the cooling agent. Yeah, the cooling agent is inside of the wire itself, which looks terrible, and no one likes flux core. So let's see what Harry's got. You have the pancake?
The pancake.
Oh, it's over there. This is our little pancake.
Ready?
Yep. Not bad.
I need to come down more.
You need to let it focus. Yeah, you need to get like right inside of there. The angle is going to be the biggest thing. That's really good. It's just the angle is really, the angle is headed down more. Now what you're dealing with is you were slow back here, and then you went fast, and then you went slow again. Honestly, the biggest thing in there is going to be, you're not braced, you're just standing up straight. Brace on this and see how it feels. Not many people use a 2-post lift to weld. Alright guys, so Harry is welding right now. Can you see a little bit better now?
Yeah, it's burning the shit out of my eyes. Woo, I should have stopped, but I kept going.
He's getting better with speed. Now you just need to work on making the right movement the same time every time. So Gavin's doing that. He's practicing a little bit more on welding, learning how to get the rod angle figured out, and as well as keeping it close so the gas can actually cover the weld. Damn, son.
Any better?
A lot better. That shit looks great.
I see what you're saying though about getting it close. Whenever I held it back, it put like holes all in it.
All right, so right there, Gavin was holding it too far back, and what's happening is the gas wasn't able to get into it and cool it, so the metal was crawling around, and it was basically just doing whatever it wanted to do. And right here, he kind of went a little bit closer, and you can see that weld right there has gotten a lot better, and it looks better. But pretty much the biggest thing we're working on is rod angle, and as far out as you want the rod to be. He actually just got it pretty dialed in, penetration wise and the whole weld wise. For structural strength, that looks a lot better than some of the other ones that you've done. You're definitely getting better.
Keep trying.
So you can see where you've been welding from the other side. Oh, shnikes, that looks great. Put your glove back here so I can focus. That freaking looks amazing. That's awesome right there. Give me a fucking high five for that shit.
I got a lot better.
That was a lot better. I like that. That was great. So Gavin pretty much has this stuff down. What we're gonna work on now is exhaust pipe, because that's one of the things that he wants a little help with, is exhaust pipe, because when it's so thin, it burns through. It doesn't seem like it's that bad, but once you start doing it and actually do it in person, when you realize how to set up the machine and everything, it's one of those things that a lot of people have a problem with, is burning through on exhaust, because it's just so thin and it gets so hot, it melts that metal and it just burns straight through. So we're gonna get some metal ready. I'm gonna put some cuts inside of this, and we're gonna be able to weld it. So this straight pipe right here, let's do a 90-degree bend with it. So we're gonna do a 90-degree bend with this pipe. We're gonna notch it with the grinder, get it done, and we can weld it up. All right, Gavin, you're about to weld it.
We're gonna weld that?
Yep, you're gonna weld them gaps, son.
That's good practice, actually.
It's great practice. The best practice is the practice that you're gonna see in real life. And in real life, you're gonna see mangled up shit like this. I mean, look at the Volvo exhaust. It was not mangled up, but it was still gaps like this. I'm gonna teach him just a few different tricks and pointers, and I'm gonna have him weld the whole thing. All right, so Gerplud, are you ready to weld on some pipe?
I'm ready.
Okay, so pipe is really hard to weld. Look how thin that is. Look how thick this is.
Mucha
Side-by-side
thick.
comparison.
Mucha thick.
Mucha thick. Really. So I've took this right here, just grinded some notches into it. I'm gonna bend it down right there. And now I have a mangled up piece of pipe, which is Gavin's pipe. We're gonna just continuously move on to the bigger gaps, and it's gonna be very fun, because you learn how to weld real life situations before you weld real life situations, or on real life situations. So this is about the closest we're gonna be able to get for exhaust pipe welding, which all it is just simple, get down, get going.
Hang on, is there a flange at the bottom of that?
Yeah.
All right, I got some idea.
Oh, I already got a piece welded off right here.
That's what I was about to say. I could learn on a real situation.
Exactly.
Very nice.
We can make it work. So Gavin's hopping on this stuff right here. I'm gonna set the machine up just a little bit different, since this is a lot thinner metal, and we'll be able to keep on rolling.
Yeah, show me how to set it up. The main thing that I'm curious about is how to set it up. What are you doing?
It's not like way strong, it's just a small.
Tack weld.
And I wasn't even looking at it. I was strictly about muscle memory. All right, so setting up the machine. You have your wire speed, and then you have your volts. So obviously we're gonna have a lower voltage setting.
Being that it's thinner metal.
Golly, that thing was on there. Loose. I'm just gonna see if it goes through.
I was gonna check to make sure the machine's set up properly.
Oh,
You kept it on grind? What the hell?
perfect. All right, so the machine's set up greatness. I mean, I was just seeing if it would burn through. What you're gonna do is, I'm just gonna start on this tiny little one. Bring in, make sure your rod angle is correct. You're welding on pipe now, so you have to change your rod angle with the pipe. So as you go, you're gonna have to come down with it.
Got you.
And you want it to be like at this much of an angle. So when you move it, you gotta move with it. I'm gonna weld right here. I'm just gonna tack. All right, so that's just a small little get down on it. And as you can see, it's burning through. So what we're gonna have to do is, honestly, I'll turn it down for you a little bit because it's manageable. It's just a little rough, but okay, so you're gonna start it where the metal is solid, and then you're gonna pull it in, and you're gonna keep on going and pull from the puddle. So you're gonna go from the puddle, you're gonna bring it in. You're gonna go from there, you're gonna bring it in. It's like you're taking from a bank, and you're bringing money here. And this is now the bank. So you're gonna take it from here. Now you're gonna from the bank. It's like that. Like a game of leapfrog almost. It's just without the leaping and the frogging.
They have me try.
Okay, here's health. Another thing is, and this is with your ears, when it's going and you hear a sound that's really hollow and it goes toot, 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 and it sounds hollow, you're burning through.
Okay.
And you don't want to burn through because it'll get MIG wire inside of the pipe. So if you burn through, just let off. Just keep it on there, because whenever you stop welding, keep it on and the gas is still flowing, cooling off that metal, but just don't press the trigger because the gases will still go after you press the trigger. That's the sound of burning through, just letting you know. I mean, you're practicing this, and the reason why you're practicing is because you don't have much practice with it.
This is what you saw the other day whenever we were doing the Volvo's exhaust, and this is why you thought that I couldn't weld until you saw this. But this,
yeah, that's not bad at all. This stuff right here.
Look, but just look.
Wait, let me get this one more time. That's freaking beautiful.
Okay, so that's what I'm used to welding things like this, and this is why I have so much trouble with pipe, because look.
Pipe is not as easy as this, and especially exhaust pipe, because it's the thinnest. You want to practice on thick pipe, but I mean, we don't have thick pipe, and we're not pipe liners because we don't yee quite as much.
So what am I doing wrong here? Everything.
Let me put the camera down and actually watch you. All right, so Gavin's doing a little bit of pipe stuff. There are some pretty big gaps inside of this. It doesn't look pretty if you don't know what you're looking at, but realistically, when you go from what Gavin first did and what you go to now, he was staying too far back right here because you can see the holes in there. The gas wasn't cooling it off. I'm gonna weld this right here, but that was Gavin's right there. That's not half bad for what he's doing. We still need to do a lot more practice, but that's not bad.